Traditionally, the Anglo-Saxon lyres will have maple tops, but on this 7-string lyre, I'm using softwood. On this example, it's going to be a cedar top. A cedar top has beautiful sound. It is more flexible than a maple top, even at the same thickness. So you can either make it much thicker, add an extra millimetre or two, but that also changes the quality of the sound. To get the lower frequencies, we need to keep it thinner. And the way to do that, traditionally with guitars and other instruments and lutes, has been to have braces. Now, I want to keep the braces to a minimum on this instrument. So what I usually do is just have one single, on this kind of instrument with no sound holes. All you need is slight reinforcement where the bridge part is here, slightly thicker wood. Now again, you can leave this 6 or 7 millimeters thick and play it out to the other outside area as well. That will also work. But to stiffen the area on the wood like cedar, we use what I call a popsicle brace. So it'll be a brace that will just be under the bridge area, and it will be fitted so that there's a slight curve. So very fractional curve. So when it's glued to the top will retain a very slight curve. What you don't want is the top to go inwards. That will also lead to a split. So the way I do it is to use this clamping coil underneath, which is very fractionally curved. That's going to be less than 2 millimeters at the outside edge. I'm going to use a plainest piece of pine wood. I also use maple sometimes. Now this clamp will go, so this brace will go over the clamp. This will be clamped up here. And this will result in a curved top. So the brace is glued on, the clamp with the curved section applied. This will be clamped from either side and from the middle. But first of all, we have to trim this. We have to plane this down. On this wood, I'm going to go to probably just under 2 millimeters in softwood. If this was hardwood, I could go down to 1.5 millimeters or 1.2 millimeters. So I'm just going to plane this down. And then I'm going to round off the edges. I want this to sit in the middle where the bridge will go, but not touching the edges. This isn't a brace that's clamped to the edge. Like, it's going to be loose and free, allowing the top to vibrate. So I put double-sided tape on a board, double-sided tape on the plain side of the wood. I just need to plane this down to size. I'm going to use the super glue trick, which is a couple of dabs of super glue. You're gluing masking tape to masking tape, hold it there for 10 seconds. As I want to go. It's very flexible at this point. But once we glue this to the soundboard with a fixed curvature, the glue and the soundboard will work as like a laminate because they're cross-grained to each other. You can see the actual position on the drawings. I say you can use maple for this. You can even use a real popsicle stick if you can find a popsicle stick that has good quality wood. Mark the midway point. Match that to midway point on here. I will pencil mark it because I want to make sure it doesn't slide around once the glue is applied. Okay. And to cut this up, okay, so this is the inside of the 7-string lyre on a softboard top. 7-string lyre. We're going to use the clamping caul. We also need 2 clamps, one to go either side, so make sure you have those ready. I'm also using a clamp for the middle. Now this clumsier clamp is able to go over and clamp the soundboard of the lyre. Now what you also want is a scrap piece of wood, and I've got a spare piece of pine here, because you don't want the clamps marking the softwood top. So you can use a scrap piece of maple or spruce, as long as it's smooth and it doesn't mark the top. Okay, now the choice of glues for this. Usually with the lyre, I always use animal glue for the joints, for the soundboard. This is the one exception I make on this lyre. This will guarantee that this brace will not come undone. Even coating glue, place it over the pencil marks. We're now going to apply, use decorator's masking tape. This is to stop it sliding around. Now at this point the brace is still not dry, and we're going to use the clamping caul with the curved side facing the inside of the lyre. So this is, you can turn this over, and we're going to use our bracing caul. Same on this side, make sure they line up. Okay, so now there's a curve. If we were to take a straight edge, you can see that the top has a very slight curve in it. This curve will settle down. You only have a curve about maybe a millimetre and a half at the most. The slight curve will keep the top in tension, stop it folding in on itself when the weather turns humid, and it makes the sound louder as well. So now we're going to apply the finder clamp, and now we apply it. Okay, and now we can leave that to dry.